The film takes place in 1989 in a secluded American village where we encounter Lisa, a young girl. She's grappling with a mental health ordeal stemming from a harrowing event the previous year. Previously, Lisa resided with her mother when suddenly a maniac barged into their home and savagely murdered her mother before her eyes. Lisa managed to evade this assault by concealing herself just in time, yet the incident has scarred her psyche. Ever since, she's been engulfed in gloom and sorrow, battling suicidal thoughts. Presently, she resides in a different village with her father, Dale, who has lately taken a vile and self-absorbed spouse, Janet. Janet's child, Taffy, was consistently kind to Lisa as if she were her biological sister, despite being her step-sibling. She would lift Lisa's spirits with makeup advice, school chatter, and by lending her all her outfits. Taffy was delighted to share her existence with her sister. Conversely, Lisa favored solitude, often spending her time in the town's solitary cemetery, narrating tales to a young lad's tombstone. This lad perished in 1837, having been hit by a bolt of lightning. His tombstone's inscription had eroded, leaving only the final letters that spelled out EIN. Lisa nicknamed him Frankenstein and presented her mother's necklace to his grave, as it was contributing to her gloom. She found solace and tranquility in the cemetery, which speaks volumes about her psychological state. In the opening scene, we're shown an animated history of this fellow named Frank. Orphaned at a young age, he was raised in solitude, became well-learned, and mastered the piano. He eventually met a band's lead vocalist, and they fell in love. Tragically, as he journeyed home one day, lightning struck him, ending his life immediately. His partner, stricken with sorrow, laid him to rest in the graveyard and proceeded with her life. Meanwhile, Taffy was persuading Lisa to attend a social gathering. Though Lisa was reluctant, Taffy suggested she use the sunbend to gain a slight tan as a beauty hack. However, when Lisa used it, she received a minor shock due to the machine's defect. It's here that Lisa reveals her fondness for a lad named Michael Trent, the overseer of the school's publication. During the festivity, Taffy was whisked away by her companions, leaving Lisa to meander solo. Michael Trent, a fellow student, initiated a casual conversation with her. Lisa contributed articles to the school journal, which Michael supervised. He admired her literary flair, and unbeknownst to him, Lisa harbored feelings for him. At that moment, another student, Tamara, handed them a beverage laced with alcohol. Upon consuming it, Lisa experienced inebriation for the first time, causing her to stagger. The beverage proved too potent for her. As Taffy reprimanded Tamara, Lisa's laboratory associate, Doug, escorted her to a secluded room upstairs with unsavory intentions. Lisa rebuffed him and departed from the gathering, her senses dulled by the alcohol. On her way back, Lisa wandered into the graveyard, longing to be with the boy. At her residence, she shattered a mirror in a fit of anger, still under the influence. That night, Lisa had an odd dream where she was garbed as Frankenstein's bride, and the boy from the graveyard was her spouse, both living joyously together. Come morning, Lisa's room was adorned with numerous sketches of horror films, indicating her penchant for the genre. Her stepmother Janet was incensed upon discovering the damaged mirror and berated her severely. Her father Dale also expressed his disappointment over her inebriated return. As a consequence, he mandated that she work on Saturdays to accumulate funds for the mirror's repair. Suddenly, they all tuned into a news broadcast on TV about a lightning strike at the cemetery. Lisa was stunned to hear this, as she had been there the previous night, just before the incident. Lisa was working part-time at a sewing store when Michael appeared. He came to launder his shirt, which had last night's drink spills on it. He was relieved to find Lisa unharmed and expressed regret for Tamara's mischief. Lisa was overjoyed to encounter Michael there, as her affection for him deepened. Eventually, Lisa got back home late, made a beeline for a pizza slice, but found none left. Exhausted and famished, she had no energy to join Taffy's suggestion of a family movie night at the local cinema. Janet dismissed it as a trivial pretext, suspecting Lisa was once more crafting reasons to be solitary. As the family departed, Lisa began viewing the film Day of the Dead when an unexpected knock sounded at her door. A ghoul-like entity barged into her abode, sending her into a panic. Echoing a previous ordeal, she fled from the apparition, screaming for aid, yet this time, no one was present to assist. In self-defense, she hurled Janet's prized porcelain, but the ghoul persisted in its pursuit. In her attempt to flee through the window, she inadvertently toppled onto the entity, causing a viscous green substance to drench her. Her neighbor caught wind of her shrieks but offered no aid, assuming she was undergoing another mental breakdown. As Lisa paced the lawn, the sprinklers sprang to life, rinsing the entity. When Lisa dashed indoors to alert the authorities, she found the phone disconnected by the creature. Despite its foul odor and missing limbs, the creature wasn't aggressive towards her. Its gentle demeanor piqued Lisa's interest. She escorted it to her room for concealment and cleaning, an undoubtedly odd choice. The entity gestured towards a specific sketch Lisa had crafted. Astonishingly, it was the boy from the graveyard, miraculously revived. This boy is the film's Frankenstein. He returned Lisa's necklace, affirming his identity. When she inquired about his presence, he indicated it was her own desire that brought him. Lisa had longed to be united with him, yet not in this manner. She had envisioned joining him in death, not reviving him. She hurriedly ushered him into the washroom, urging him to cleanse himself. After he complied, he sought her help to restore his absent limbs, but Lisa was at a loss. She tidied his hair, and it appeared she had at last found the companion she yearned for. Suddenly, her family returned from their cinema outing, and Janet was incensed upon seeing the disarray. Lisa endeavored to defuse the situation, but Janet's anger was unrelenting. She was convinced Lisa's actions were a cry for attention and that she required psychiatric care at an institution. Lisa wept through the night, and Frank was privy to her sobs. From that moment, Lisa's closet became his sanctuary. The following day, he presented her with a daring outfit, which Lisa was reluctant to don. Nevertheless, she mustered the courage to wear it. Her newfound boldness made her the center of attention at school. She caught the gaze of many, particularly Michael. When he came over for a light-hearted chat, Taffy stepped in and sent him packing, looking out for her sister. Taffy then requested Lisa to vouch for her that evening, as she had arranged a sleepover. It seemed Janet had a conference out of town, and Dale was tied up with late work hours. At their residence, Frank, in a fit of rage, slipped a worm into Janet's meal. However, Janet blamed Lisa, believing it to be her scheming, and resolved to send her away. She called off her journey and began berating Lisa once more upon her arrival. Despite being a nurse and mother, Janet lacked compassion for the troubled Lisa. Overhearing this, Frank decided to take action, confronting Janet with the sewing machine, resulting in her demise. He then severed her ear and requested Lisa to attach it to him. Lisa felt no remorse over Janet's end, given her cruel treatment. Together, they interred Janet in the graveyard, and Lisa proceeded to sew on the ear. Frank sketched a lightning bolt on her palm, hinting that an electric jolt could activate the ear. Lisa happened to own a faulty sunbed delivered shocks. When Frank lay on it, his ear mended, regaining hearing on the left side. His visage also appeared less creased. The following day, Lisa donned another daring ensemble, peppered with humor. Taffy and Dale were taken aback by her transformation, oblivious to Janet's demise, believing she was at a conference. At school, Lisa penned an enticing note, sealed with a kiss, to Doug, requesting his presence by the lake at 4 p.m. Lisa enticed him to the graveyard, hinting at forbidden acts. There, Frank awaited with an axe. He severed Doug's hand, and the pair interred yet another corpse. Lisa felt no guilt for Doug, believing he got his just deserts. She sutured the hand and employed the sunbed to refine it. Frank transformed into a handsome youth, igniting Lisa's amorous sentiments. He exhibited his pianistic prowess, harking back to his days as a musician. Lisa joyously vocalized a melody for him, her spirits soaring. It seemed she had overcome her melancholy and isolation. Meanwhile, Taffy and Dale grew anxious, having not heard from Janet in over a day. They braced for the worst and notified the police. Lisa believed it was only a matter of time before she was discovered. Thus, she resolved to pursue one final act before the inevitable. She aspired to connect with Michael. The following day at school, panic ensued as Doug was nowhere to be found. Whispers circulated that he had met a grim fate. Upon hearing the unsettling news, Taffy hurried back, while Lisa scoured for Michael, who was also absent. Shortly after, the principal summoned Lisa, as Tamara had witnessed her slipping a romantic note into Doug's locker. Lisa fabricated a story, claiming Doug had stood her up. Tamara contested her account, accusing Lisa of being a habitual fabricator. Tamara's accusation sparked a confrontation, and Lisa stormed out, seething with fury. She decided to skip class and confront Michael at his home, driven by the fear of dying untouched. On her way, Frank, astonishingly adept at driving despite his 19th century origins, gave her a lift in Janet's car, which he intended to dispose of. Upon arriving at Michael's house, Lisa was met with a jarring revelation. Michael and Taffy were entwined in an intimate moment. Betrayed, Lisa burst into the room, accusing Taffy of treachery. Despite being aware of Lisa's feelings for Michael, Taffy had succumbed to her desires. Michael revealed his disinterest in Lisa, which intensified her fury. At that moment, Frank burst into the room wielding an axe and dismembered Michael, leaving Taffy and Lisa in shock. Lisa reprimanded Frank and consoled her distressed sister. She escorted Taffy to the car, offering apologies and expressing gratitude for her genuine sisterly bond amidst general hostility. Lisa presented her mother's rosary as a sign of her appreciation. As she pursued Frank with an axe, Taffy fled in terror. Lisa's intent was to eliminate Frank, but instead she found herself enamored with him, and he reciprocated her feelings. They were prepared to become intimate, but the necessary part was absent. However, Frank had cleverly procured it from Michael. After sewing and sunbathing, Frank was set to drench the lawn. He knelt with a ring in hand. Soon after, they wrapped up their joyful evening, as the police were on their trail, tipped off by Taffy. To unite forever, Lisa chose to perish in the sunbed. And as Frank cranked it up, it malfunctioned and incinerated Lisa. Months later, Dale and Taffy paid respects at Lisa's tomb, adorned with blooms and inscribed "Beloved wife." Dale suspected mischief, but Taffy was uncertain. We then see Frank reciting a story to a bandaged Lisa, alive, suggesting Lisa and Frank, in the hereafter, found their bliss. Thus concludes the film. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to catch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.